Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Penapple and today I'm doing the Reclaimed Factory Penthouse speed build. So if you're interested in this build, you can download off of the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT. So this build is about 220,000 simoleons. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bathroom, so it's actually pretty small. It's on a 30 by 20 penthouse lot in the Arts Quarter. That's where I first put it. Already. We're starting already with the mispronunciation of very simple words. Yeah, this thing took me about 6 hours to build, and I managed to condense it down into about 30 minutes, which is impressive. I did end up cutting out a lot of stuff. Like, this one was like a frustrating one for me to build for whatever reason. Like, I really liked the idea, and I liked so much about it, but I just got so wrapped up in the little details, and I spent so long in different sections that I didn't really need to spend, and so it just got a little bit out of hand. But I am in love with the final outcome. Yes, the final result. Yes, that's the word. But yeah, I I really wanted to do this build, even though I realized that everybody and their uncle has done this build, or this type of build, this sort of factory build. These windows that we got just kind of beg for it. And so I decided, since I want to do it, I might as well do it, and if it's just like everybody else's, I apologize. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, and so I don't really know what type of factory this used to be. I kind of have a cupcake on the side of it towards the end, so maybe it was a cupcake factory. Maybe it was just a cupcake liner factory. Maybe it was just a factory that made cupcake signs. But I don't know. I just kind of went with it, and it looks a little bit out of place at the top of this building. I love it, and I love how high up in the sky it is. I think that looks really cool, but it's a little out of place. And that's partially because I started building this with the intention of making a sort of high-end black and white penthouse, inspired by my 30-minute penthouse kind of fail. But I ended up just kept clashing with the style of this building, and so then I kind of just started building a factory, and then I was like, this really clashes, but at that point I just didn't really care, and so I just kind of went with it. But yeah, right now I am I finished kind of with the basic shape, and I'm adding a lot of the walkways, and those are one of my favorite parts of this, because I think that makes it really look like a factory. It's lots of those walkways for people to help maintain the factory, and they all look kind of dangerous. And I love the one that I'm putting in here because it stretches far out from the building, allowing a spot for me to put a place to build a what's it called? Rocket ship. So your sim could build a rocket ship if they wanted. If not, that rocket ship pad looks great just the way it is with the industrial vibe. But yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this build, but it was also pretty frustrating at times. When I get to the interior, I'm trying to go for a sort of hipster vibe, definitely a sort of reclaimed sort of look. Some of the furniture looks a bit older, some of it looks more modern. It's kind of a mismatch of style. I almost said mishmash. Oh my gosh, the train is coming and I now have to pause. This train. Okay, the train has finally passed, thank bejesus. But right here, I am sort of trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing with the second floor. I knew I wanted a sort of loft area, and I wanted a lot of it to be just a 2-story room. But I had a little bit of trouble with the staircase placement. If I had placed it there, it just would have been so awkward. And so I decided to go against having an actual loft. And so I just kind of have a room up there that has a walkway leading to it that can look over the living room. And so I thought that worked out pretty well. And that loft, or that room up there, I thought of making a bedroom, but it was just too small. So I ended up turning into this office thing. And I really liked how it turned out. I sort of imagined it as being the foreman's office. And so I thought that was really cool, really cute. But yeah, I've just wasn't quite sure where I wanted to place all the stairs. At a certain point, I realized that the space ship landing pad has no access to it. So I was like, I need to put a staircase down. And I loved how that turned out because it ended up crisscrossing with the one on the interior, and it just looked really cool. But yeah, you could see there I tried to fit a bed, and I was just like, no, it's not happening. But yeah, I definitely loved using a lot of the stuff that we got in Get to Work. It really played nicely with the city living pack when doing the sort of grungy industrial vibe. I just thought it was so cool. Oh, and I love that clock. That clock, like, I was like, I don't think I've ever used that before in a build, and when I like thought about it, I was like, well, this is kind of like a clock tower, and I like opened it up and I was like, yes, I get to use this. But one of the things I noticed is that the clock dials don't turn. Like, it's really sad. They don't like spin with the day, and I think that's really, really sad. I feel like that wouldn't be like super hard to animate, but what do I know? I tell you, I find something to complain about with The Sims 4 with every single video I do. It's lovely. But right there, I moved away from it, but there is a little bit of a porch or a balcony or whatever on the second floor that has some industrial elements and a whole bunch of plants, and I am in love with that area. It's like my favorite. Oh my gosh, it's like, oh, I love it so much. But yeah, I feel like this build could be put on the first floor as not like a penthouse, so you'd have to kind of manage the space where the elevator used to be, and I think you might want to change around where the front door is, so I'm not quite sure, but I think it could work with a little bit of tinkering and not too much tinkering, because there's a lot of doors. There's 2 doors in the front, and then there's 1 door in the back, and I think you could like change that too. Like, I feel like you can make one of the kitchen windows into a door because they just go so seamlessly. But yeah, oh gosh, I love these little windows that I put in here. I just imagine like the factory workers looking outside of them being like, oh god, why do I have to work in this factory? Why can't I be a bird or something? That was really weird. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure, like, at that point where I was like throwing up all those like signs, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted this factory to be, but all of those looked too modern, and none of them really looked like a product, like they'd be advertising a product that a factory like this would make. But yeah, like here, this is the section where I add all the plants later on, and it's just lovely. It's definitely my favorite. And out front I have this big machinery thing, and I kind of imagined it as being like a statue in a way. But yeah, here I'm doing the kitchen, which gave me a little bit of trouble, but I really, really love how it turned out. It's kind of small. Like I said, this lot looks big, but it's really not. It looks big because the second floor is actually very small with the usable space. But I definitely am like such a huge fan of how this kitchen turned out. I think it looks like a real kitchen. I don't know. Kitchens and living rooms are what I struggle with the most. And so I really like how this one turned out. But you can see I'm doing a lot of finicky stuff with like the counters and the cabinets. So I wasn't sure about the stove, and oh god, it's just another one of those moments where I got way too like obsessive about the little details, and I could have just not, and nobody would have noticed except for me. But yeah, I am pre-recording this before Thanksgiving in the US. And so my plans for that is I'm gonna go home to my parents' house. Every year I tend to just go home, and I have some cousins, and we used to switch off between Christmas and Thanksgiving as to whose house we would host it at every year, and then it just kind of fell into place that we always would host Thanksgiving at my house and Christmas at their house. And like, I'm not a huge fan of Thanksgiving, especially like its dubious origins historically, but I really do love coming together with my family. Some of them I don't really get to see all that often, especially now that I've grown up and moved out of my parents' house. But yeah, every year my mom gets these turkeys, like they're little turkeys that are made out of chocolate. And so it's kind of like the little Easter bunny chocolates, except for it's a turkey. It's like a hollow turkey shaped chocolate that's wrapped in tinfoil to make it look even more like a turkey. And it's so ridiculous. And like my mom has ordered extra in the past, and so I would give them to my friends. And so Thanksgiving at my house is now infamous for the the chocolate turkeys, and it's so ridiculous. Oh my goodness. And they're really good chocolate too. Like, I forget what type she gets, but they're always like super delicious, and it's so funny watching like my different family members decide when they're not going to eat it. Like, some of them are just like, oh, I'm gonna save this, and some of them are like, well, I've already eaten everything in sight, so I'm just gonna eat this too. So yeah, but here I am finicking around with this white bar, like this overhang. I hated how it looked from down below, and so I wasn't quite sure what to do with it there. And so you can see I tried to hide it with curtains, and I tried a lot of things with that, but in the end I just sort of put in another walkway right there, and I think it really worked out. I sort of just extended the building or something. I forget exactly what I did, but that made it so I could put a black trim there and it wouldn't look so weird. But yeah, I also really struggled with this backyard space. Like, oh my gosh, I cut out probably like 10 minutes worth of sped up footage, just like struggling with that area. And I really wish I had more room because I wanted to put in a pool there, but it just didn't really work out, and I guess that wouldn't really have fit with the whole industrial vibe. But yeah, like, it's just, and you know, I think the spot that's my least favorite in this build is the living room that I'm working on right now. I just feel like I didn't pick quite the right furniture for the living room. It looks very modern, which I wanted that sort of mismatch, but I feel like maybe it's a bit too modern. So I just really wasn't quite sure. It definitely didn't go with like the second half of the room, which I like a lot better. But it is how it is, and I think it looks acceptable. I couldn't really figure out anything else to put there, partially because I tend to like my living rooms being all matchy, and it's a little bit hard in The Sims to do that because a lot of the furniture just like doesn't come in sets. Like, the majority of furniture comes so that there is a 1-seater option, a 2-seater option, a 3-seater option, but apparently that is not the case in the Sims world. But yeah, out there I think I just pulled out the cupcake sign, and then I like put it in the corner where I tend to like pull out a whole bunch of stuff that I think I'm gonna want to use, that way I don't have to search for it later. But yeah, here is that. This is the master bedroom. It's the only bedroom. I am in love with it. It is so beautiful. It's a really long space, and the place where I put the bed makes it look even longer, which is a little bit awkward, but I ended up figuring out what I wanted to do in this corner. I made it into like a sort of changing area, and I ended up using a chain link fence to sort of like define the space around it, but then you can still see through it, and it looks so great. It looks so industrial. I've seen other people use it before in their builds, but I can't remember who, but I feel like I've seen a couple of people do it. But I love how this bedroom turned out. I think it looks really adorable. I think this bedroom does a better job of combining the more modern stuff with the less modern stuff. I don't know. But I also just was like, I didn't know what art I wanted to put where. I didn't know how bare I wanted to leave the walls. Like there, I'm struggling. Oh, do I put curtains there? Do I put a painting there? I ended up putting the painting there. Or no, the curtains there. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, like this build there were a lot of decisions went into this build, and like at first I thought I was gonna have to make this a 2-parter, but I managed to cut everything down so it would only be like 2 15-minute pieces, and I was like, that could be a one-parter. So yeah. But here I am working on figuring out what paintings I want to put where, and I end up doubling up these paintings. I love these paintings so much. And like I wasn't quite sure what to put down there either. Like it was just kind of like I said, it was a little bit of a struggle. I love how I put in that fireplace. I think it looks especially cozy with the fur rug, which I am obsessed with. Like, in real life, real fur, not okay. I'm looking at you, mom and dad. But I've talked about that before in a video, I think in my last build. But I am in love with that rug in The Sims, and I really hope that there's a fake fur rug in The Sims. I haven't checked the description. I probably should. I don't know. It's one of the more expensive rugs, despite it being small, so it might be real. But here is there are 2 bathrooms. This one is like, I wanted to make it a 4-piece bath with a shower, a bath, a sink, and a toilet, but it just didn't fit. So I ended up just using a shower tub. And I am in love with the fireplace being there. I wasn't quite sure what side of the room I wanted it on. It was kind of finicky, but I really do love how it turned out, and like I think it has one of the best screenshots out of all of the screenshots that I have at the end. I just think it looks really good for being such a little space. But yeah, I'm gonna like adjust real quick. Okay. Sorry if you could hear that. I need to get an actual desk chair because the one I'm sitting in has started to make my legs fall asleep, and it can be really painful and like a little worrisome. So like I'm trying to like switch between different spots. I have like a little bit of like a footstool that I'm trying to change my leg position. But I need to get a new desk chair. I've been like trying to get a new desk chair for actually like over like a year and a half now. I have a lot of anxiety, and it's just one of those things that my anxiety has been preventing me from doing, and it's really dumb. But it just is like, it's just one of those things that I have not been able to kind of work around. That and getting my hair cut. And the haircut one, I have a legitimate sort of, I don't know, but the salon I go to has a puppy. Well, I call all dogs puppies. And so they have a dog, and the dog, I had met the dog before, I had pet the dog before. I wasn't even going into the salon to like get my hair cut. I was going just to like buy like some shampoo or something. And so the puppy was sitting outside, and I went to go pet him, and he was doing good. And then I went to go pat him on his side as I was getting up to leave, and he freaked out, and he just bit me a little bit at the end of my finger. He didn't draw blood or anything, but he was also a pit bull, which makes me worry that if he does that to somebody else, they might, they might get like upset and try and get the dog put down or something. So I went and I told the owner like, hey, like your dog bit me a little bit. It's okay. It was mostly my fault, but you shouldn't have your dog outside if it's going to potentially bite people, because, it's a rescue. And so that it doesn't always like behave quite like other dogs, just because it's like, yeah. But anyways, it was just like this whole thing. And so now I've been afraid to go back to that salon. But I haven't found a new one. And so I should just go back because nobody will probably even remember. But I just feel like kind of bad for lecturing somebody about where they should put their dog. Yeah. So that's my little story. Those are my 2 things. Like, oh my goodness. It's like, it should not be a thing, but it is a thing for me. And so, yeah. But right now I'm mostly doing the finishing touches for the interior. I think... Yeah, and I'm about to go up and work on the upstairs office, which is another one of the places I really like. I imagined it as sort of being the foreman's office, and so that was really cool. Sorry, I'm like fighting back a burp. But yeah, I thought those lights also made it look a bit more industrial and cute. But yeah, I just imagine like when the factory used to work here, whoever like ran the factory would like be up in that office and sort of controlling everybody down below. But yeah, I'm about to do something with the lights I really like. I love these standing lights, and I wanted 3 of them, but I didn't want them all to be like 2 of them to be the same height, so I ended up stacking them a little, and I love how that turned out, especially when you like kind of squint your eyes and look at it, so you can't really tell that it's been stacked. It looks like one whole piece. But yeah, like I just sort of imagined this sort of foreman's office being now just a regular office space, and I just kind of imagined a music producer sort of living here. And so I have the regular sort of computer space, and I have like a bookcase. But then I also have one of the new keyboard pianos with a TV in front of it to sort of mimic like a computer screen or something. And then I also have 2 computers and a violin in the corner. Not the most expensive violin because that seemed pretty superfluous, pretty extravagant, and would just add on unnecessary costs to the build. Like some people need a $15,000 violin, but most people don't. It's just not a thing that the majority of people need. But yeah, I love being able to use these little CD things because I hardly ever use them. And I wanted to put that little like romance bucket in there because I thought, oh, maybe this would be a place for him to schmooze whoever he's trying to sign on to his label or something. But I ended up just putting flour there because it looked better. But yeah, I think this office also more represents the sort of mishmash of the older and the newer styles, but with that sort of beat up sofa, but then the high-tech desk. But yeah, this definitely one of my more favorite places in this build. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit scratchy. I have a sore throat and I'm powering through with this recording because, like I said, I'm trying to pre-record it for Thanksgiving, and so I'm leaving like the day after tomorrow after recording this, and so I didn't want to put it off until tomorrow because I have like a big thing that's happening that's really nerve-wracking and exciting, and yeah, so like I'm trying not to kill my voice, but I also need to get this done. So I apologize if my voice is scratchy. I'm trying to pause every once in a while. I'll take a sip of water. But here is the patio space that I was talking about, and it has the bubble blower, and I feel like that could easily be replaced with like a table and some lawn chairs. But I feel like it added a lot of greenery to this, and that's where I kind of got the idea to add more ivy. And so this whole back wall just gets covered with ivy to look sort of overgrown, like it's taking over some of the industrial spots. And so I ended up putting that in the front too, but I think maybe I lost the footage somehow. I don't know. I thought I had it, but maybe I accidentally cut it in one of like my major cuts, because like I said, this thing was so long. Because like there were places like this where everything went pretty smoothly, and then there were places like the lower like balcony area that were just like grueling. It was grueling. I tried like 5 different layouts. It was awful. But yeah, and so you could actually grow your own stuff up here too, or you could just put fake plants in the pot. But yeah, for a little bit, for some reason, I guess this is divided, and so I'm not 100% sure why it's divided. I guess this is more of a private balcony, and so this ends up kind of looking like an entryway, which would make sense if you want to put it on the lower floor, but doesn't quite make sense because then your like front doorway would lead into your bedroom. I don't know, but I think it looks really cute. I kind of love just how it's just like a simple little spot you can go sit. It doesn't really have much more of a purpose than that, and I think that's just really relaxing. But here is that sort of big industrial piece that I sort of imagined becoming a statue, and so that's why it has sort of mosaic underneath it. Oh, and I added in these like little, I don't know, what are they, awnings? Because I thought it helped make the build look a little bit more industrial. But yeah, I feel like I could have maybe done a bit more with this half of the front space, but I think I was getting a little tired at this point, and I didn't want to overcrowd it. You know, I kind of wanted the factory to be the main thing that you saw when you looked at it from the front. But I did actually get to add in some pools, only because for some reason you can't add fountains into the penthouse floor. I don't understand that per se, but that's how it is. So you might want to watch out and make sure your Sims don't drown in those by accident. I don't know if they can, but they might. But yeah, so here is that outdoor area, and this is like probably take 4 that I'm showing you with this space, and it's just like, part of it was because I decided to go with this weird tiling that made everything look kind of weird, but I also liked it. Another part was there's a little like power box in the corner, and I really wanted to include that because it looked good next to the garage doors. and it just was part of city living, but I just finally gave up, and I was just like, fine. Like, I had that there like for almost the entire build, and I finally just deleted it. And so this ends up having a sort of like a hot tub. It has a seating space, and it has a karaoke bar. So I think that helps to, you know, showcase some of the city living. And this spot and then the balcony up above it just looks so nice in the sunset. Like, this is a lovely spot for your sim to spend the evening in. You know, kind of watch the sunset go down, like in the hot tub or something. I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, we are coming up on the end of this build. I hope that you guys liked it. If you did, feel free to give me a like, a comment, or subscribe, especially if you'd like to be updated as to when my next build is. I hope you guys are all having a great day. If you celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Drive safe, everybody. Yeah. But yeah, the screenshots are coming up soon, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!